In 1984, the two most historic teams in NBA history in the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers met once again in the NBA Finals. Game 1 was about as physical as it gets with a total of 57 fouls on the night. Ahead of Game 2, Lakers head coach Pat Riley said, quote, "I hope they're not more physical because then they would have to bring in brass knuckles." Riley mentioned that the boards will be key to beating Boston. Riley also mentioned, quote, "In Los Angeles we have a saying, no rebounds, no rings." But in the modern era of the NBA, is that sentiment still true, or can you compete for a title without being an elite rebounding team? As of March 8, 2024, the Oklahoma City Thunder are on pace to win 57 games and sit at 29th in rebounding percentage this season. Since 2000, there have been 12 teams to win at least 55 games and be in the bottom 10 of rebound percentage. Of those teams, one has won the championship, the 2013 Heat, one more has made the finals, the 2000 Pacers, 3 have made the conference finals, the 2003 Mavs, the 2005 Suns, the 2015 Hawks, 5 more made the second round, and only 2 teams lost in the first round, the 2008 Suns as a 3 seed and the 2010 Mavs as a 7 seed. The average seeding of those teams is 2.5, with 4 of those teams finishing the season as the number 1 seed in their conference. And all 4 of those teams made at least the conference finals. The top of the West right now is more volatile than ever, with Cat going down for at least a month. Realistically, the 1 seed is there for the taking if the Thunder won it. In the last 10 seasons, 4 different teams have won it all despite being a bottom 10 rebounding team. And the Raptors in 18-19, the Warriors in 17-18, the Warriors in 14-15, and the Spurs in 13-14. The Thunder are not unaware of the rebounding concerns around their team. It has been a storyline all season for OKC.
At the end of the day, there's more to the game than just rebounding. You're trying to score more points than the other team, which includes defense and offense, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. And so as long as the benefit for our team is outweighing the cost, then we have to incur the cost.
Mark Daigneault all season has stressed that you have to give up some things and you cannot be good at everything as a team. There are trade-offs for the style that OKC plays. A way or a factor Mark has said that OKC has found to supplement the rebounding issues is through what I like to call the OKC stock market. The Thunder are the number 1 team this season in the NBA in blocks per game at 6.7 and number 2 in steals per game at 8.3. At a total of 15 stocks, or steals and blocks combined, OKC is number 1 in stocks and the only team this season in the top 5 of both steals and blocks per game. The OKC stock market is led by 2 of their cornerstone stars in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, who are both towards the top of the league in individual stocks per game. Chet is 5th in the league with 3.19 per game, and Shai is right behind him at 6th with 3.08. The Thunder duo only trails Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, Brook Lopez, and Walker Kessler in stocks per game. On top of being in the top 6 of stocks, Shai is the only guard in the top 10 of stocks per game. Coming into the NBA out of Kentucky, SGA was more known as a toolsy defender with some offensive upside who has transformed into a nuclear-level superstar isolation scorer in OKC. But over the last 2 seasons, Shai has sort of rediscovered his former defensive identity and used it to help him leap towards the top of stock players this season. Standing at 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan, Shai is definitely on the larger side for guards, giving him a very high baseline as a defender. He's incredibly instinctive when it comes to steals and combines his length with high-level anticipation skills to force opposing turnovers consistently. Like on this play, where Shai reads the eyes of the offensive player in Franz Wagner, jumps the route, steals the ball, and prevents a wide-open look for Markelle Fultz. Because of his extremely long wingspan, Shai is able to take more chances reaching in and poking the ball away from offensive players without really risking putting himself in a bad position. In an NBA full of one-way heliocentric offensive superstars, Shai's a throwback who can do things at a high level on both ends, and it would not surprise me if we see him make an all-defensive team in the near future. Rather than just reacting to what opposing offensive players do, Shai brings a physicality to them, getting into their space, handle, and making things very uncomfortable for them. You might be thinking that with his slight frame that he gets killed on the inside, but you really don't see that happen too often. Shai has an extremely strong base and can hold his ground, but that is if you can even get the entry pass completed. Using those same long arms, instincts, and anticipation, Shai positions himself extremely well in the post to jump passes early, deny the post entry, and get deflections that lead to steals. As a shot blocker, there's nothing prototypical about Shai. He's not the traditional rim protector, help side defender, or even a big with size, but that doesn't stop him from consistently getting involved in altering shots. This season, Shai is only one of 3 players 6'6" or under to be top 40 in blocks per game this season, along with elite defenders like Derek White and Alex Caruso. Shai doesn't have the huge swats that go into the third row, but he does a nice job of just getting his hand or a finger on the ball to alter shots. That same length that helps him on steals pops up when he blocks shots too, where players think they have time to get their shot off just for Shai to extend his arms like Mr. Fantastic and get a touch on the ball before the shooter even knows what's happened. This play is ridiculous. Shai is playing sort of a game of chicken behind a 6'10" Sabonis screen, and then at the very last second predicts the jump shot from Murray, and that's a block jumping from behind a screen on a 6'9" shooter at the apex of his shot. Just crazy stuff from Shai. As a draft prospect, Chet Holmgren was projected as an elite shot blocker, and so far in his rookie season, Chet has proved those projections right and then some. Chet does most of his damage as previously stated as a shot blocker, where he rejects 2.5 shots per game, which puts him 4th in the league this season. For reference, Chet as a rookie is averaging more blocks per game this season than historically elite level shot blockers like former Defensive Player of the Year caliber players like Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, Kristaps Porzingis, Miles Turner, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But Chet's crazy defensive tools, instincts, and talents can be weaponized for more than just blocking shots. Holmgren also averages almost a steal a game. Chet is also great at getting his hands and long arms into passing lanes, deflecting passes, and intercepting those same passes. Essentially, when offensive players enter the paint with Chet, there should be a big do not enter or proceed with caution sign. Shai and Chet might lead the way, but the OKC stock market is open for everyone on the Thunder roster, with Jalen Williams, aka J-Dub, and Lou Dort, who are also in the top 70 in stocks per game. When opponents play the Thunder, their ball handlers have to be on high alert. OKC has a variety of rangy wings with a nose for the ball who will pick your pocket at any time, even if the slightest window opens up for them. 1 second you have the ball and you're ready to make your move or get into your team's action, and the next second someone on the Thunder has the ball and is going the other direction before the ball handler even knows what's happened. The Thunder lead the NBA this season in deflections at 16.3 per game, so even when they don't come up with a steal, they still give the opponents a cause for concern, knowing that an OKC player will likely junk up their action or get a hand on the ball to create more live ball turnovers. The Thunder are at a distinct size disadvantage on a lot of nights, but that doesn't mean easy baskets are guaranteed. One thing I learned quickly breaking down this film is just how hard OKC makes it for opposing teams to get accurate and consistent entry passes into the low post. The Thunder and their roster full of wacky inflatable arm tube men make opposing players have to hit that entry pass right on the money, or more than likely OKC is going to get a hand on the ball and it's an instant fast break. As previously mentioned, Chet Holmgren carries most of the weight for the Thunder blocking shots, but OKC still has a ton of contributors from all parts of the roster. The paint is usually Chet's domain, but that hasn't stopped guys like J-Dub, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Josh Giddey, and even the Charge King and Jay Will from getting in on the fun and protecting the paint. Chet is absolutely the straw that stirs the drink, but these other guys, even without him this season, have stepped up to chip in with the OKC stock market. The extra shot blocking also spans out to the perimeter, where Thunder players do a great job not only not falling for pump fakes, but often getting a hand on the opposing team's jumper, and they also do a fantastic job of helping off of poor shooters to get blocks from behind on unsuspecting opponents. One of the breakout stars this season for the OKC stock market is recent lottery pick Cason Wallace, who ranks top 10 in stocks this season for rookies. Going back to the preseason, Mark Daigneault compared Cason's defensive instincts and timing to that of an elite defensive back in football like Ed Reed. Cason told me he was more of a wide receiver when he played, but I can see what Mark was getting at. In a lot of ways, Cason reminds me of the basketball version of the Honey Badger and Tyrann Mathieu. He just does not care. Cason will find the ball in any way possible defensively. He has great timing, a strong base, quick hands, and freakish defensive anticipation for anyone, let alone a rookie. Cason has very quickly become a favorite and a reliable off-the-bench option for Daigneault, and has been able to hit the ground running in his rookie season, positively contributing to a high-level winning team this season that is chasing the 1 seed in the West. Although the Thunder are a great stock team, Mark Daigneault, as well as the players on the team, have stressed that hunting turnovers is not part of their defensive scheme, but their scheme does put guys like Shai, Chet, J-Dub, and more into spots where they are able to capitalize off their physical gifts and basketball IQ to chip in those ever-important stocks.
You know, we don't design any schemes to yield block shots. We don't design any schemes to yield steals. We've been a high turnover defense, you know, for a number of years now. That's not like a top priority for us. You know, our stuff is more based on help. It's more based on rhythm. It's more based on trying to get our opponents to play outside of their comfort zone, get the other opponent's best players to play outside of their comfort zone, and then whatever that yields, we're comfortable with. And with, you know, obviously Chet with the shot blocking is a huge element. Shai's had a huge element. Steals, Dub's a great steals guy.
We've got individual guys that have the ability to do that, but that stuff's showing out within the scheme, but the scheme's not designed for it.
As much as the talk around OKC has been centered around their meteoric rise this season to the top of the standings, just as many skeptics have come out of the woods, and many of them have the same concerns. Rebounding. The Thunder are not a great rebounding team, but how much is that they don't have the personnel to do so, or are they just punting on certain aspects of rebounding? Like Mark Dignault said earlier, there are things you have to sacrifice, and one of those things the Thunder have had to sacrifice to play the style that they play is by essentially punting for the most part on chasing offensive rebounds consistently. The Thunder prioritize getting back on defense to stop any potential downhill transition actions from opposing teams, rather than crashing the offensive glass for the most part. In these clips, you can consistently see 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 Thunder players immediately trying to get back on defense when a shot goes up, rather than heading towards the basket to try to grab an offensive rebound. This is an obvious choice by OKC, and you can see it pretty vividly in the numbers as they are a top 3 transition defense and also average the 29th most offensive rebounds per game. Now that we have tackled OKC's offensive rebounding, how it is less of a problem and more of a choice, we can move on to more of the problematic parts of OKC's job on the glass as a team. Opponent offensive rebounding. Going back to basic elementary level basketball, it is taught that rebounding is a part of defense. The Thunder are dead last in the NBA in opponent offensive rebounds per game, giving up an average of 12.5 offensive boards a game. OKC currently is tied for having the second best team defensive rating in the entire NBA, but even for a top tier elite defense like the Thunder's, if you give other teams multiple cracks in the same possession, other teams will eventually kill you on second chance points. The Thunder are second to last in the NBA in opposing teams' second chance points, giving up an average of 14.7 points per game. Other teams know about this weak spot for OKC and have started sending more help on the boards from the wings crashing the glass. Sort of like when a football team has a weaker offensive line, so the opposing defenses rush even more players. It is a long season, so things like this happen to every team, but where there are odd bounces and lapses in energy, way too often the Thunder seemingly don't get a body on a man or are caught ball watching as a shot goes up and their man runs right past them and grabs the rebound.
It's really, the game comes down to getting more shots and better shots than your opponent. It's really that simple, and that's like an old basketball principle before analytics. It's like Dean Smith stuff, and if you get more shots and better shots, that's usually a good recipe. And so on offense, we're trying to obviously take care of the ball and get more shots and generate great shots. And on defense, we're trying to do the inverse of that. And, I think the steals have a huge part of that, and supplement some of the other holes.
You might be thinking to yourself, Michael, this is all cool, but how does this impact winning and OKC's rebounding issues? Do these cool stock numbers actually help the Thunder get wins and overcome their team's weaknesses on the glass? Or are they just window dressing to hide bigger issues against lesser competition? I had similar questions and did a deep dive into the Thunder's first 62 games this season. Take a look at this. I went through all 62 games and charted total rebounds and stocks for every game along with the Thunder's win-loss ratio. When OKC wins the stock battle, they have gone 35-9, which is almost an 80% win rate. When OKC loses the stock battle, they have gone 7-11 for a 38% win rate, which is roughly the same as the win rate of the bottom 10 teams in the NBA this season, like the Raptors, Grizzlies, and Nets. Odd enough, the Thunder have a winning record when they lose the rebounding battle this season, going 22-19. And in games when the Thunder win both the rebound battle and the stock battle, they are undefeated this season at 11-0. In games where the Thunder have lost both the rebound and stock battle, they are 2-11, which is below the win percentage of bottom feeders this season like the Wizards and the Pistons, aka bad. When the Thunder are running the stock market but losing the battle on the boards, they're 18-9, which is a slightly higher win rate than what the 5th best team in the NBA is right now in the Clippers. Last but certainly not least, what happens when the Thunder do win the rebounding battle? They're an undefeated 18-0. You might be saying to yourself, if they are undefeated when they win the glass game, why not just focus on that? I did some extra research and learned that of those 18 games, 10 of those rebounding wins came against teams below 500. Those 10 games are made up of the Bulls twice, the Wizards twice, the Blazers 3 times, and then the Pistons and Hornets once each. And even the teams with a winning record that the Thunder have out-rebounded this season in the Suns, Lakers, Mavericks, Nuggets twice, Pelicans, Heat, and Clippers, only those 3 teams are even in the top half of rebounding in the NBA. So the question is, are the Thunder capable of winning a rebounding battle? Absolutely, but it's not something worth banking on, as you obviously won't be getting matched up with below 500 teams in the postseason. But are you a believer in the OKC stock market? Let me know in the comment section below if you are buying, selling, or holding on the idea of the Thunder stock market. Success is a possible answer to OKC's rebounding concerns. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so I know what type of content you all want to see in the future. Thanks for watching.